Good morning. A little bit of technical difficulty or hiccup while getting started this morning. This is an open discussion and question and answer today. So that's what I'm here for 30 minutes to respond to what is going on in your world. What questions you have, what celebrations you have for our Wednesday live stream at Dulcimer Crossing. I can tell you that I'm going, we're doing a lot of backstage work. We're in the process of renovating. So let me turn you all the way down. Okay, I've got to log into there too. So, welcome here. It's also, I've got my orange and green on for my class, which I teach for the little kids this morning. Hey, Talon, good morning. Because this is, kids can't go out and do their normal Halloween stuff, and so what we're doing is having a Halloween party in all of our classes this week. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. So I've got a hat. We are providing the opportunity to do those things. That's what we're doing. So this is one of the fun songs that I always think about at this time of year from the Gene Ritchie family tradition. I put my capo on in the mountain dulcimer at the first fret. There was a woman all skin and bones. Thanks for your question, Jim, about the... I'm going to answer that in just a minute. There was a woman, old skin and bone. Ooh. This is really fun because you can have everybody do the ooh, ooh, ooh part. And it sounds a little spooky. There was a woman, all skin and bone. Ooh. down to the old church house. Ooh, she crept as silent as a mouse. Ooh, she walked through the graves in the old churchyard. Ooh, she went inside the church house. Ooh, she saw it was a little dirty. Ooh, she looked around to find a broom. Ooh, she saw a closet over there. Ooh, she crept up to it right over there. Ooh, she put her hand on the doorknob. Ooh, she turned the handle to open the door. Ooh, she opened the door and boop! It goes something like that. That's the kind of thing that Aubrey Atwater likes to do in her school programs. But what makes it really accessible on here, by putting our capo on the first fret, we've got EBE in a standard 1-5-8 tuned dulcimer. And I'm going from 0 to 0 to 0 to 0, 4 3 2 0. It's just a real accessible Halloweeny type song that Gene Ritchie would do. So that's where I'm starting today, because I'm just in the mood, and I'm realizing that my little white thing here in my T-shirt actually kind of looks like a necktie, doesn't it? It looks kind of formal. Okay, now Jim has this question: can the seventh of a chord lead into the next chord in the circle of fifths? In the key of D, does G7 lead to C, which is a non-diatonic chord, as in John Hardy? And the answer is G7, as the 5 of 5, or a subdominant, does have that function. So let's open a circle of fifths here. Oh, that's not the one. I need the other one. That's the one I want. Okay, so let me share my screen. So as you talked about, you're in the key of D. If you play a G7, because G7 is the 5 of C, that's where it wants to take us. The dominant 7 chord always wants to take us back to whatever it is the 5 of. So I'm in the key of D, and I normally have a D, G, and A. But if I have a dominant 7 with the A7 A chord, it's going to take me back to D. But if I use the dominant 7 with G, it's going to take me over to C. And there are songs like John Hardy, which is a diatonic chord in the Mixolydian mode. It's not the diatonic chord in the Ionian mode. Oh, okay. Back to Skin and Bones is the name of the tune. So John, or Jim, does that answer that question for you? Now here's the problem. And they've started putting periods at the end of everything in typing places. Hang on, and we'll talk about that. The Dorian. So 2 0. These are on the melody string. 2 0 2 0. And the parentheses mean the middle string. That's the first phrase. And then 4 3 2 0. So it's a two-phrase song. 0 2 0, middle string at 2, 0 2 0, 4 3 2 0. That's the wrong one. And Jim, this is the thing that we want to talk about. And so I'm gonna. This is a little. It's going to look more technical. So be prepared for that. When we talk about the Ionian mode, which is the 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 scale, nothing's altered. The 1 4 and 5 chords that we talk about a lot are major. The 2 3 and 6 are minor, and the 7th is diminished. When we move to the Dorian mode, which is the one right next to it, what I've done is all the major chords in all the modes are red, all the minor chords in all the modes are green, all the diminished 7th chords in all the modes are purple. So you can see that as you shift over, our 1 chord is now minor, and our major chord is a flat 3 and a 4, but the 5th is a minor chord, the 6th is diminished, and the 7th is a flat 7. And it's combining with the fact that in the Dorian scale, these are where the notes are altered. We have a flat 3 and we have a flat 7. And it looks like I have to do some more flat adding there. So now to go back, so this is where the circle of fifths changes. We always talk about it from the framework of being in the major key. So if I'm in Dorian of E, what's different is I'm going to need an E minor, I'm going to need a D, and I'm going to need an A, not the A minor over here. The inside is what I would expect in the Aeolian mode for the circle of fifths, because these are the relative minors, which are the sixth. They begin on the 6th step of whatever the major scale is, which means it's Aeolian. So on the inside, these are the chords I'm expecting from Aeolian. On the outside are the chords I'm going to expect from Ionian. So this is a good representation for Ionian and Aeolian. But in Aeolian of E, we're going to need the E minor, the B minor, the D, but we're going to need the A. Why is that? Because our E minor is now our 1, and we're going to need the 4 chord in E is A. So we're going to need that to be an A major, not an A minor. And we're going to need, if we're going to have a 5, it's going to be minor. The flat 7 is the D that's right behind the E. And then C major, not C major, G will be the major if we do that. There's a lot of Dorian tunes that that use the 1, the 5, and the flat 7, and they don't really use the major very much. So let me ask if that's getting toward your question. Oops. Talon, you are exactly right. I was counting away from the, oh boy. Let's do this again. I'm glad you have an eagle eye. There we go. 03030305430. That's it. Is that and Jim, is that clear as mud now? Talon, I was making the mistake of counting away from the fret from the capo. And when you put a capo on, we don't count away. That replaces the first fret, so 0 becomes what would have been 1. And this is like there's 2 ways to think about using a capo. But in every other fretted instrument world, we don't do that. The capo replaces the fret, and so now that becomes 0. I could renumber the whole fretboard, but I don't. And that doesn't happen on guitars either. So this becomes 0 plus because I have a 1.5 fret. Or that, no, 0, 1 plus 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6.5, 7. So we're not renumbering that way. And to hear this, what the chord things we're talking about, Jim and I were talking about, there's the E minor, there's the A, there's the D, there's the B minor, or there's a B minor, now the reason I said there were 2 ways to thinking about the capo is because if I D, G, D, A, B minor, E minor, F sharp minor, D. If I put my capo on at the 3rd fret, I'm going to get predictable results. And if I put my capo on at the 5th fret, if I think about being 2 away from the capo, I'm going to get predictable results in all those settings. So one way of thinking about the capo is, well, we don't renumber the frets, but if I think about how far away I am from the capo, I can translate everything I know in the first few frets to work with chord positions that work up the fretboard. So that's where it's a little bit confusing. I sometimes like to say it's my job to promote confusion and misinformation in the world, and I'm doing a good job. But it depends. It's like every other scientific inquiry. The question you ask will determine the answer that will fit. Okay, Jim, let's follow that up. Your question is the B minor chord just in the Dorian, or is it also in the Aeolian? So let's look at our comparison chart. So the Dorian mode has a 1, a 2 minor, then a 3 flat 3 major, 4 major, 5 minor, 6 diminished. So E minor, F sharp minor, G, A, B minor, C sharp diminished, and then D, because that's the flat 7. We go to Aeolian, our first one is minor again. Our second one is diminished. Our third is still major, but now our 4 and 5 are minor. Our 6 is a flat 6 and then a flat 7. So here it would be E minor, F sharp diminished, G major, A minor, B minor. So your question is, yes, they share that. And then C, because that's a flat 6 and a flat 7, is D. And that's what first got my attention, the difference between these two. And I did not know why. I just would always say minors are free range critters and there's lots of different ways to do it, because I didn't understand the modal system yet. This is when I was just a kid playing guitar. Because there would be songs that would be in E minor that would have E minor, A minor, and C. Like "They'll Know We're Christians by Our Love" was one of the first ones I learned to play with our church singing group. And it had an E minor, an A minor, and C. But there were other songs that didn't have a C at all, and they had a D and an A minor. There were other songs that had an A major and a D. There were other songs that instead of D had a B7. So it's like, and they were all minor, and they were all seemed to be based around E. And for me, the modal system helped me understand why the Dorian and Aeolian are different from each other. When you add in the B7 chord, then we're talking about the harmonic minor, because a B7 has a D sharp, which is that tension note that you're thinking about, Jim, in talking about the 7th that's taking us there. That T-do kind of thing is a strong, powerful thing that pulls us over there. Went to Steve to study my theory. Ooh. He said I could bring whatever my query. Ooh. I asked a question about chords. Ooh. It wasn't any clearer when he got done. Ooh. The stick keeps stirring the muddy water. Ooh, muddy and muddier it goes. Ooh. Oh, man. I'm just kidding there. So, Jim, did you get your question answered there? I didn't touch the bass string at all, Talon. I just let it drone. So it's one of those songs that kind of it has a pedal tone. Pedal tone is language that comes from organ, where Bach would put one pedal down, then play a and the drones that we have here are like that. You could say that the organ was trying to imitate the bagpipes, because the bagpipes always have a drone like that. Muddy water deposit sentiment. Oh, very punny. You've been up a little while and had a cup of coffee. We are about at our ending time, so I can transition to being ready for my kids' class today. But I want to thank you for joining me. Did you? So let's just make sure, Talon, that you get it. Let's try this one and see if that helps. It's further away, but maybe I could even zoom in on that camera and then go further away because I'm from the side. See, I'm never reaching over to touch the bass. And I only go to the middle string for that one note. 0 3 0 middle 3 0 3 0 5 4 3 0 0 3 0 middle 3 0 3 0 5 4 3 0. That's how that one goes. And I want to thank you for your kind attention today. Next week, there have been some other suggestions of what we can do, and I want to always invite your suggestions. You can write to me, steve@dulcimercrossing.com. With your ideas or questions in between Sundays, in between live stream Wednesdays. The other thing that's happening is that we are going through a lot of different. We're doing a lot in the backstage. We're working on upgrading Dulcimer Crossing, and so I want to just give you one little preview. Except that's the wrong thing. That's not what I want. This is what I want. Here's a preview. Boo! And well, no, there's a couple things that have to be done. I shouldn't show that now. So we'll save the preview until I can show you a preview that actually does what we're looking for. But keep your eyes peeled for a preview of what's coming. But for now, I want to say goodbye and hope you have a great week. If you are celebrating Reformation, I hope you have a great celebration in a lot of churches. That was this past Sunday, and then All Saints is coming up. If you're celebrating Halloween, I hope you have a great Halloween celebration. But I look forward to seeing you next